absolutely. Tommy Pham, he fights all winter to fuck guys up. Yeah, he said it.
Welcome into Northside Territory, your Cubs podcast hosted by Foul Territory. I'm Sahadev Sharma with my co-host Patrick Mooney. We cover the Cubs, and today we have a guest from The Athletic, John Greenberg, to talk about the White Sox. John, thanks for joining us. Okay, let's get right to it. Where you've covered all Chicago sports, right? All of Chicago sports. Sure. You've covered a lot of messes in this city. Where is this? I mean, there's been a few White Sox messes over the past few years too, but where does this mess right now rank among what you've witnessed?
Well, first, I want a little more enthusiasm with my intro. I didn't feel like you were very
an
enthusiastic.
Extra special guest, yes.
Yeah, can I get a little enthusiasm? I mean, I hired you to The Athletic when it was nothing but an idea.
Oh, jeez.
I mean,
right.
All right.
Sorry about that. Lack of enthusiasm here.
All right.
I'm not as pumped for Cubs White Sox as I should be.
I know. I remember we used to get pumped for this, but yeah, where does this I mean, this is pretty bad. I think this is at the bottom for the White Sox for sure. And I mean, we've had a lot of messes. I had Ozzie Guillen get traded at the end of a season. I mean, we had, a guy retire because his kid couldn't field grounders with the team. You had a guy cut jerseys up before a game. I mean, you had last year was terrible. This is the bottom, though, right? I mean, because it's like every day it's the manager. You're either making fun of the manager or the friggin' TV play-by-play guy. I mean, this is like – and they're 15-45. They're 30 games under 500. And listen – they weren't supposed to be good this year. Last year was worse because they were actually supposed to be like, they weren't picked to do very well last year, but they could have won, they could have won the Central, AL Central last year. It wasn't impossible with the talent they had. This year, I mean, Chris Getz is pretty straightforward. Even though he tried for a while to say they weren't rebuilding, he eventually relented. And I talked to him about that, and he realized it was kind of stupid to say, like, we're not rebuilding when, you trade Dylan Cease in spring training.
But this is supposed to be a quicker turnaround. That's why they hired Getz. It's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, we're having – obviously, we can have fun with Jerry on that because he totally torpedoed Getz from the beginning in terms with that terrible introduction.
Yeah.
But I did think the point he was making, and I've talked about this with Getz too, is that I think Getz kind of told him, yeah, I know – what's wrong with this organization. So hiring me, we could at least get it done a little quicker because I know all the problems we have. So I get that a little more. That doesn't mean we can't keep making fun of Jerry because we should, because he said so many crazy things and sounded so dumb talking about Branch Rickey. But I do get the point. Now, on the flip side, if you want to know why Jerry is such a bad owner, I mean, not bad owner, but let's just say unsuccessful owner. Because he does do some stuff is fine. But why he's so unsuccessful is the fact that he made Getz, and we pretty much know this without Getz telling us, made him keep Pedro Grifol for this year because you signed a 3-year deal. He didn't want to pay him off for 2 years, even though he's probably making nothing. Jerry should have said, all right, you can take over, do whatever you want with manager. That's what a good owner does. They didn't it's a different situation, but they didn't tell Theo you have to keep Mike Quaddy around. And he's below quaddy. I mean, Pedro is sub quaddy. So, the fact that they kept him around and now there's issues with the players, really tells you why this team stinks year in and year out.
John, you had an awesome column up in The Athletic about the relationship between Jed Hoyer and Chris Getz. You had kind of teased this column idea to us, and not doubting your reporting chops or charms, but we weren't quite sure if they would actually go through with it. Could you explain kind of the genesis of that story as well as this blossoming bromance on the North Shore?
Right. Yeah. It's a relationship made in Winnetka. You know how hard it is. You move to the suburbs. It's tough making guy friends. They have something to talk about. I don't remember how I knew they were. I think I just found out they were from talking to them that they were friends. I think Jed probably told me that Chris had become friends in Winnetka and their wives had become close. and all that stuff. So I thought, yeah, that would be an interesting column to write. And I was like, I'll just wait till Cubs-Sox to do it. Yeah, because I mean, it makes sense. I mean, they're a lot alike, but like, this friendship's kind of rare. Like, they weren't close with Hahn. I think from what I know, I think Jed and Hahn used to be close, and then it kind of cooled off with Cubs-Sox, and now they're friendly again. But yeah, I mean, so Getz and him are close, and Jed gives. I'm not saying he tells Chris what to do at all, obviously, but like he's there for advice. It's like a sounding board. And when Getz took over, he said there were some simple things like he asked him, "How often do you travel? Like, how often should I travel with the team?" Because they don't, GMs don't travel every series anymore because they want to stay married. So he asked him that stuff, like, how often do you travel? How often do you go down in the clubhouse? What are some of the things you've learned over the years? With the rebuilding stuff, they talk about that. And there's a funny thing, I kind of hinted at it in there, but like early in the season, I found myself at like a North Shore, a Winnetka smoothie coffee place because I just dropped something off to my wife at work and I was taking Green Bay back home. And I'm like, I'm going to stop and do some work. And Getz walked in. And it was right when, I don't remember the order of how all three of the stars on the White Sox got hurt running to first base in like a week. But it was, I think, the second one, whoever was second, they got hurt. And I was talking to Getz there, and he was like, we had talked about this kind of story idea before. And he's like, hey, I just got off the phone with Jed. And he was like, he did an impression of Jed being like, how are you doing? And like Getz at least could laugh about it because he gets it. He knew what he was in for this season. So, so they're friends. They do family, plans, and the wives are going to the game together. Wow. At Wrigley, and Getz was laughing with me. I'm like, is that gonna be okay? He's like, yeah, they get pretty competitive. He's like, Meryl might have to find her own ride home. Like, he was kind of laughing about that. And I was like, hey, did the Hoyers did Jed set you guys up with everything? He goes, he hasn't. He's like, if the game was at guaranteed rate first, I would have had him all set up. But he's like, I guess I'm just a better friend.
So they're just sitting in the seats somewhere?
I think the wives, I don't know wherever the wives' seats are. I would assume. I don't know I don't know. Maybe Jed's family just has a suite. I didn't really get that point of it. But Jed and Chris will not be sitting together. That's what he confirmed to me, is that he will not be.
That would be odd. I think that would be. I'm not sure if I've seen that before.
I love that. I love that image in your column of like Jed recognizing Getz just walking around, wandering on the phone, because when we were all on Bellinger watching spring training, you just kept seeing Jed on the phone, like taking laps on an empty, minor league practice field. No doubt was just listening to Boris. I'm assuming just kind of go off, but I do give.
I was gonna say, Jed told me he walks the neighborhood on his phone.
I can totally see that. Yeah,
because he's like, my family's sick of hearing me. And like, even though he's got like a mansion and then another mansion next door, you're right. For some reason, he still feels the need. They must have really good ears. He still feels the need to walk the streets. But that was when I'm trying to think of a lead of a column. Yeah, how to lead this. I was like, I like to do an anecdotal lead usually, and that was like a perfect description. Jed's so funny because he'll like give me things. He's like, maybe you should lead with this. And he was
he's an editor now.
Okay. Right. I mean, he wanted me to lead with which didn't make any sense, but he was actually at a travel game against his kid was playing Ryan Poles' kid, the Bears GM. Okay. And just as like an extra thing. And he said Poles actually tipped him on Hard Knocks and told him they were going to be on it. But he's like, you could talk about that too. And I'm like, all right, Jed, that doesn't really, you got too many. Let me do the writing. You do the you worry about Nick Madrigal and where he's going.
Oh man, I did see Jed's kids the other day at a travel game because it was
he told me that.
So I saw them running around. So apparently there's all sorts of GMs kids. Did you give him any advice? Like maybe trade for a reliever?
I was like, how about
to fix the offense?
How funny would Kopech be at Wrigley? Because people would just be going ape shit when he's like giving, you know what I mean? He's so wild. He's perfect for this bullpen, for this unpredictable bullpen. He would fit in. He would fit in so well with the way the Cubs bullpen's been going. But I wouldn't be like, I did joke with them about I was like, do you guys, where's the Bailey Horn, Matthew Thompson deal, executed? But he basically said that was beneath them. That was done by the people underneath them, though. Getz did say he had some conversations with Carter Hawkins about it, but that was, not exactly the Quintana for Eloy and Cease blockbuster.
Carter gets the Matt Thompson Bailey Horn deal. That's
right.
Carter.
Puts that on his TV.
Is there any excuse for not winning 2 games this week for the Cubs against the White Sox? Is there
They're 15 and 45. White Sox have lost 11 straight games. Like, you can't win. I mean, like, listen, we know. I mean, it's baseball, right? Things can happen, but they've got good pitchers going. They've got their good starters. So if the Cubs hitters, I mean, like, yeah, Eric Fetty's pretty good. So, and he's pitching the Wednesday game. So Flexen's, can be okay. He's not horrible all the time, which is like the best you could say for the White Sox. No, there's no, I mean, like, with the caveat that it's baseball, no, there's no excuse for losing one of these games.
Is there a viral moment going to happen? Are you predicting?
Tommy Pham, Tommy Pham playing. They got to start Tommy Pham both games. Like, we're demanding it. We're demanding Tommy Pham. Absolutely. Tommy Pham trains, he fights all winter to fuck guys up. He said it. So that was hands down, one of the funniest post-game quotes I've heard in my life.
That was wild.
Because post-games now are like a waste.
Dream.
Post-game, like, you don't get anything that great usually. Guys, everyone just wants to leave. That's fantastic. I'm absolutely I am camping out in the White Sox clubhouse this week.
It's funny too, because Big Z was at Wrigley this past weekend or so. Spoke with him, and like, he was the guy, particularly in Cubs-Sox, of like, you never knew what he might say post game. And we were recently in Busch Stadium's visiting clubhouse, and that's where the "We Stinks" quote came. And like, Tommy Pham's quote was like exponentially better than Big Z's. Now Big Z did physically accost teammates, and like there was just that physical energy once he got in between the lines that you never quite knew. But like, watching that play, seeing Contreras just kind of say something, then just walk away, whatever. And his full quote, and then because we were just in Milwaukee too, of the walk away to, it looked like, where like the food room was. It was just so perfect, like mic drop, let's go. And he is probably our only hope for like Cubs-Sox fireworks.
Well, here's the other one. What if John Schriffen goes and punches Boog or something because he loves the White Sox so much? Schriffen and Pham are the 2 wild cards of the series, because Schriffen's getting this excited for like random games. He's going to go the extra mile for Cubs-Sox. He's going to get a little silly, and I'm hoping he does. Like, I'm going to have to tape the games.
What was the?
Well, I don't even need to, because people will tweet the videos like it's like unnecessary.
Instantly, yeah.
Instantly, right.
Thank you, Cubs quote when Eloy hit that bomb against the Cubs.
Oh yeah, Benetti had that. That
was a good one. Schriffen's got to top that somehow.
Oh, he's going to. I mean, he's going to get really into it, because he's like, everyone's just kissing up to Jerry, right? Everyone's this whole, I mean, I've never seen a broadcaster I've never seen a situation like this with a broadcaster. Have you guys? Can you say? I can't think of anything like this.
No, I don't know.
We're in a big city, and it's a big market.
I don't know the guy at all, but like, when you're going viral like that, an awful announcement.
I mean, I guess Hawk is like, Hawk, but Hawk was his own guy.
Yeah,
Hawk was like his own person.
Hawk was established, and it was like extreme homerism that fans loved and embraced, right?
It was quirky. That was like, remember when he wanted to beat up like Samardzija?
I don't remember that one. I remember that.
Yeah, because Samardzija hit Konerko.
Who was the
Samardzija hit Konerko, and he lost his shit. Like, you can find the video. He was going to kill. He was going to murder like Samardzija. I mean, Samardzija. That would have been funny, because Samardzija probably would punch an old man.
I was going to say,
he was a big Hawk fan. I feel like he had a quote like that, like, "Oh yeah, growing up, you'd throw on a White Sox.
Hawk.
You take a nap as soon as Hawk starts talking," or something like that. He had some sort of good quote like that. He definitely got. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then when Samardzija came over to the Sox, Hawk loved him after that.
Yeah, of course.
But
age. I mean, like, we need Pham to like punch a catcher.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Pham to punch someone would be great. Schriffen to like lose his shit and like pour a beer on Pat Hughes' head or something. Watch like fight with Coomer. Fight with Coomer in the media, or like Zach Zaid. Yell at Zach for laughing.
Maybe I think Grafal. I've never encountered Pedro Grafal. I only know him through your coverage, John, and the other writers, and definitely a Jim Boylan character, as you had said. And I do think Cubs-Sox could draw more out of him. Maybe not Lou Piniella telling Steve Stone to go be a farm director somewhere, but there'll definitely be increased spotlight, a little more pressure. And like you said, to win one for Jerry, to bring the Crosstown Cup back home to the South Side.
I think he's the one caveat for that is I think Pedro's kind of realizing he screwed up with those quotes. And I wonder if he's going to be a little more careful, especially, if someone like with the White Sox tells him to chill out a little bit with this series, because, like Sully just went and just like absolutely destroyed him the other day and, referred to his serial bootlicking in a column. So like, I wonder if Pedro's going to be on guard for that, but maybe he can't help himself, right? Like, you're right. Like, he's going to want to win it for Jerry so bad. He's so concerned about that. They're all so concerned about Jerry getting enough credit for being, a subpar owner. That could be too. I mean, we got Ozzy will be there before the game. That's always fun.
Nice.
He's doing his show. So we got that going. Maybe like, I mean, you always hope for fireworks. I mean, I've been there for some fun stuff. I was there for, and I think you were too, Moons, when, Lou kicked out Milton Bradley and Zambrano in consecutive years from the White Sox. I've never seen a manager kick out his own players in back-to-back years like that. And I remember asking Lou about it, and I was a little nervous asking him. You never know what he would say. And Lou I was like, is it something about this place? And Lou just started laughing. Like once he realized that it happened back-to-back years.
Luck.
Oh man,
I mean, that was great.
It's amazing how much stuff has happened in Cubs-Sox. I mean, there's been some great games, but the off the field, like the non-game action, there's been just wild stuff.
The Lou Steve Stone one was great because I was in the dugout for that. Were you there, Moons, for that?
I missed that.
It was something like wasn't like
Steve
Stone on like Chicago Tribune Live, like saying he should play it more, and that like
it was Tyler Colvin.
Colvin, yeah.
Oh, it was a Tyler Colvin
farm director somewhere.
He went off on him. Classic. And then I remember after that, me and Sully, I think, ran up to write really quick off just what Lou said. And then some other people got Stoney in the clubhouse, visiting dugout. But then as I was going back down, Stone was coming up. So I got him one-on-one. And then Stone was going off again on what Steve said and Steve was going off on what Lou said. And so I got to put all that in the column. That was a classic.
Did Stone fire back? I don't even remember.
Oh, yeah, he did.
I remember the Lou part.
Yeah, I got him. I don't know if anyone else really got him at length. I got him kind of firing back at him a little bit, because he had already heard from like Bruce or someone like what Lou had said. That was great because that was the I'm no damn dummy.
Yeah, it was kind of out of nowhere.
It was Cal too.
It was like a Friday day game.
It was completely out of nowhere. It was like I was just like asked him a question. He went off.
Like the idea of Lou Piniella not playing young players or something like that. And like,
right.
I don't think this was like top of mind to anyone in that visiting dugout.
No.
And then just goes off. And it's like probably like, I don't know, 10:30, 11 in the morning. Yeah. Like on a if I'm remembering correctly, like I think
you're right. And he just quit. That was right before. That wasn't before Lou retired. That wasn't long before. Like he retired.
I think it would have been 2010 or 2011.
Yeah, no, it was that year for sure, and it was like a couple weeks later.
For 2010, yeah.
2010 is when he retired, right?
So it would have been like mid-season 2010, early part of the 2010 season. Oof, classic.
Oh, wow, that's remarkable. I'm hoping for something similar. We need Council's not going to go off. We know that. Like Council's way too even keeled.
No.
He gives good quotes, but it's not like spicy quotes. There's nothing. This guy doesn't like the temperament is so even keeled. We'll never get that. It's no Dale Swain threatening to send down Starlin Castro and Anthony Rizzo after a month of struggles or whatever it was, and Theo being like, "What the hell is happening right now?" So we need more of that. I think so. I'm hoping for Shriven or Griffol or Pham to go off. Just maybe someone random. Is there someone random in that clubhouse that we can count on? I mean, Robert's back, so maybe he'll just go off on the field and it just completely sink this Cubs season.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone else. I got to be honest. I don't know the White Sox too well. I'm not going this point in my career. I'm not going locker to locker, shaking hands with some of these guys. I'll
You're
never
not
see
digging
again.
into the Fangraphs underlying statistics of
Paul.
whoever.
Is it Paul? How do you pronounce it? Is it Paul DeYoung or Paul DeJong? Or how do you pronounce his name?
Yeah.
DeYoung, right? Yeah. Bruce Levine had a story, in an interview, right? A transcripted story, talking about where he's basically just like, yeah, I know I'm getting traded. He's like, I just hope they send me somewhere good and they get someone good back. And he was like, he had a couple other funny lines. Like, yeah, me and Pham talk about it all the time.
Okay, I was gonna say Pham had
just
that too. Pham kind of set himself up. I know people say why would you sign with the White Sox? He set himself up to, okay, I'm gonna have a good first half here for a good couple months, and then I'll definitely get traded to a contender.
Yeah, and his tax hit is less here than in California, which was literally also the funniest thing of why did you sign here? And he literally said because the state taxes, which are not, no one's ever said I'm going to Illinois for lower taxes, but compared to California, yeah, and that's just Pham's great. I wish I talked to him. I wish I cared more to go to the White Sox and talk to him more because he's just a content machine.
I mean, he's the one that slapped Jock Peterson. Trent loves him. Trent Rosencrantz, our colleague at the Athletic, who covers the Reds and all sorts of baseball stuff, talk to him about Pham, and he'll talk your ear off because
our buddy Jesse and our friend Jesse Rogers loves Pham. I mean, he's been talking to him forever. Covering him when he does his national stuff. I mean, he's just great. He's old. I love guys like that. We used to have guys like that with the Cubs. We don't really have big mouths anymore, do we? Is there any guys with big mouths on the team anymore?
They're good talk. I mean, they're good talkers,
nice guys, good talkers,
but not the
the Randy Wells
explosiveness. The
Miguel Montero,
Montero, Big Z.
I mean, I think we'll see if the Cubs, how the season plays out, but I don't know, when you're looking at how well Pham performs on the field and kind of that edge he brings, the Cubs don't turn it around, that's going to be a talking point of, hey, maybe this mix, something no one cares about your process or your expected stats. And when you have a new manager who has very strong opinions and is very insightful about how things should be run, and then if this team kind of does something similar to last year, and whether or not it's a dramatic collapse at the end or if they squeak into the playoffs with 84, I don't think it's an unreasonable conversation to have of I don't know if you can clone Tommy Pham or how that works, but a presence like that, I don't know. At least when they're struggling now, you can point to that and be and wonder.
Patrick, I'm pretty sure you were. Yeah, you had to have been there when they signed John Lackey. Theo, there wasn't much else that Theo said other than we lack edge. We need edge. Yeah. They wanted John Lackey for that. Yes, he's won World Series. He has experience. All those good things. That was great. That was, I'm sure 1A. 1B was this guy gets pissed off and will get on his teammates if they're not doing what they're supposed to do and piss off the opposition sometimes too. And that seems to, that's something that they lacked and that they wanted on that team.
I mean, imagine Lackey's reaction if Saya just dropped a fly ball like that. This defense behind Lackey would be so entertaining that I wish we could make that happen. But I think Theo would say that, our infielders or some of them were scared of Lackey, and Theo very much enjoyed that.
Yeah, I would love to see Jed shake it up with this team. It's kind of a boring club in some ways.
They were exciting for a couple weeks there to start, but it was also not realistic the way they were performing in certain ways.
We got Bodie. Bodie will say something. Is Bodie? When will Bodie be ingrained enough to start talking again?
He's a new man.
He is.
But he's a different person than he was 5 years ago. He was
like the old Bodie.
Well, he's got a second chance, or whatever chance this is. He's got another one. Maybe he'll be the hero the Cubs need to defeat the White Sox. If they need a hero to defeat the White Sox, I think that says a lot.
I had actually talked, because we've talked this before, but like I used to work for Bodie's agent, Scott Bronstein. I'm friends with him. And I was like, we were talking about. I was like, you should try to get Jed to trade Bodie to the White Sox. They could use him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing? But you want to be traded to the White Sox?
Well, it was when Bodie was like, he was marooned in Iowa. He was like, I don't really understand like how he's going to get out of there. They were calling up everyone except Bodie. So the White Sox are technically the major leagues.
All it took was like months of every other bench option struggling and counting just being like, okay, I need someone that can maybe put the ball in the seats on occasion.
Yeah, exactly. So we got Bodie back, baby. I want to see a Bodie jersey today.
I bet you'll see a Bodie jersey.
Yeah,
Jose Valentin. There's going to be so much.
Yeah, there'll be some good ones.
AJ. Of course.
AJ. I like how AJ highlights him on Twitter whenever.
Yeah, that's great. That's classic.
But you always do. Like if you walk around a White Sox game, you'll see 5 AJs and like 5 Canercos.
Yeah,
every game.
What are the Cubs staples? Is Sosa a staple? Is it Sosa?
Not
Rizzo?
as much because it's too old. You know what I mean? Like
it's Rizzo,
Brian,
Ozzie.
You see a lot of Swansons now.
I was seeing some Morels the other day. I saw a Morel like outside, like out in the wild. I'm
trying to think who else I've seen lately. I did see a John Maley one the other day.
Wow,
nice.
Megan. It was the day Megan wrote her John Maley story. I'm like, is that his kid or something? Like, who has a John Maley All-Star jersey?
I think he has a son that's
like college.
He's playing. Right? Yeah, he's playing in college. He was
at Mount Carmel and was like a
I thought he
definitely a college recruit, maybe a draft type guy.
Right. I think he got hurt. Yeah. I'm not sure how badly, but he got hurt.
I think all the 2016 guys are the ones you see. You will see some D. Lees occasionally, like some Sosas, but they're kind of too old and like they're just. I don't think enough people really have them anymore. You do see a couple Nomars every game. I haven't seen a Terrio this year, which is disappointing.
Bruce Miles always loved the Fukudome one.
Yeah. Well, I called it the Fukudome Terrio theory, that there was always one every game, based on the PCU's the PCU joke about Gene Hackman and who was it? Gene Hackman and another actor.
All right.
I just had one more for you, John. What do you got on CHSN? You and our boy Scott Powers wrote about that.
Oh, Chosen. The Chogo of sports networks.
Yeah, it's gonna be very confusing. Where do you? I liked the press release because it was basically the exact same quote that Crane Kenny gave when they launched Marquee. If we're doing this for our fans, we're gonna super serve our fans, like as if the Cubs, as if the White Sox, Blackhawks, and Bulls like had not owned a broadcast entity for essentially like 25 to 30, 40 years that they were like passively involved. Like, no, they created that. And so I'm just curious, like where, I don't know, not a lot of time. You had a really nice write-up on it. Like what were your kind of takeaways?
Well, I mean, we knew this was inevitable. And I mean, Mooney, you worked at Cable Town over there. So but like it was inevitable once the Cubs left. And the fact that it's not just the Cubs leaving, it's that because obviously those three are staying together. But NBC wants out of the regional sports game. I mean, they've been de-emphasizing it. They've been cutting costs there, for years. They've been, losing people. They have no other real programming except the only programming they have besides the games and the post games are, Bears content, which they don't even have.
Yeah.
So like, they have to have some Bears stuff to get viewers. But like, it's been going this way for a while. So we knew it. I would hope that a lot of the people that work there are gonna catch on. I guess Marquee's going to lose their stadium filler content. I mean, I have to ask, but I would assume that, right? Unless, can they do both? I mean, do we really need both, to be honest? So yeah, it's giving me a new network. We'll see how they do with just getting it. It's not really like a huge story till we figure out if they can get on TV or not. Just like with Marquee, that happened to be during the pandemic, so it was we had more important things. Like the new guys, some guy from Stadium is running it, Jason Coyle. I've heard some mixed reviews on that. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, if I'm an Aussie, I'm asking for that Charles Barkley money. To jump aboard. Although Ozzy once told it. I mean, we'll see. Just don't listen to Frank's advice on money. That's like Ozzy's. I think Ozzy's take. Frank tells him to hold out. Maybe don't do it. But
Chuck Garfine is outstanding. I got to give a shout out to our guy at Chuck. Yeah. He is extremely good and plugged in, and it's not easy the job that he did. Like Ozzy, Ozzy's a legend, but Chuck, kind of like Ernie Johnson, does a really good job.
He does. He really found his footing. He's done so many things there, whether it's the sideline stuff or the hosting or whatever, reporting. He's really found his footing on that show with Ozzy. And you're right, it is like Ernie Johnson, and the fact that they can make fun of each other, it's a lot like Inside the NBA where they make fun of each other. So it's a good show. I hope they make Chuck. I hope they do right by Chuck. You're right. And everyone else, I hope they bring some people back that they let go that were really good on that station. But we'll see if they can get there's that over the air stuff they're doing, but that's, people need stuff on most people that are watching on TV are watching their cable package or so, or they stream it through whatever service they use. So that's really the key. Hopefully John Shipman, they hire him and give him some good money because he's kind of runs their content now. I mean, it's kind of, I think we have to write something on it because you worked there, Moon. So it was a good crew of people at NBC Sports Chicago. And they didn't have an easy job all the time because there were some teams that really meddled. And the stories I would hear about during Blackhawks stuff with John McDonough yelling at people and you had Crane fighting with probably Ryan, there was a lot of weird stuff. They were fighting on who, airtime and how much stuff each team's getting and things like that. So definitely an interesting setup they had there when they had all four. But I mean, I don't know who's going to the Blackhawks are a draw because of Bedard and hockey fans, but Bulls and White Sox, I mean, it's just brutal product.
Yeah, I think that'll be for both the Cubs and White Sox. I think that'll be a big story moving forward of just what that does for budgets and the product and how they figure this out. I think is well beyond their control. Changing viewer habits and what happens at the league level with MLB and whether they could do a Cubs Netflix type thing without Blackhawks and local restrictions. And I think that's going to be when there's a lockout or a strike in a couple of years, the TV stuff is going to be a big part of it. I think teams are already thinking in those terms.
Yeah, no, you're right. And we'll see what happens with the league wide, the way the leagues run it, see if they run it in the ground or not.
All right. Well, now we're getting depressing with lockout talk and journalism going into the tubes with everyone losing jobs. So perfect time to wrap it up on a low note there. But I guess that's how our White Sox podcast, White Sox part of the podcast should end, on a low note. John, thanks for joining us. Make sure everyone reads John's piece on Chris Getz and Jed Hoyer's burgeoning friendship. You can read Patrick and my work on The Athletic as well. This is Northside Territory. Oh yeah, thank you. That was Patrick did most of the legwork on that. That was a great job by Patrick, organizing as usual and making sure that came out well. Thanks for listening, everyone. This is Northside Territory. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. Read our work at The Athletic. Thanks so much for listening. Take care.
Aaron Kratz here from FT. I'm a former athlete that really pays attention to his routine. And AG1 every morning before my workouts is something that gets my day going.
Hey, Braun here. AG1 is a foundational nutrition supplement that delivers daily nutrients and gut health support, and it's backed by multiple research studies so you can trust what you're putting in your body.
Unlike other products which only test their ingredients in isolation, AG1 tests their formula as a whole.
Ready for this stat? 97% of people in a research study felt more energy after 30 days of drinking AG1. If I had to recommend one product to support whole body health, it's AG1, and that's why FT is excited to have them as a new partner. Starting your journey with AG1 is a win. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/foul. That's drinkag1.com/FOUL. Go check it out, FT fam.